How you doing? Greg, how you doing? I figured I'm gonna do a live stream because I was home earlier and figured I have some time and do a quick live stream. How y'all doing today? Hope everybody's having a great evening and let some people join in and stuff. I gotta do some water changes in here just now. It's 11 o'clock at night, and so I'm probably gonna do this for a bit. If there's a lot of people on, I'll do it for a little longer, but if not, I'll do it for like 20-30 minutes, and I gotta get to water changes then, and also take my dog out. What's going on, Ahmed? How you doing? I figured I'm gonna do one later in the evening than usual, so different people that are all over the world can join in. What's going on, live feeding? How you doing? Hope you're having a great evening. Probably people in the West Coast are just getting home from work, so I figured that's one of the people, groups of people that might be joining in, and also people from like other parts of the world and stuff like that, different parts of the world. Hope everybody's having a great day, afternoon, evening, whatever time it might be around the world where you are. Oh, very good. That's good. Nice. From India. Shout outs to India. Oh, very nice. It's early morning. Yes, hit that like button before you go. If you're watching this on the replay, comment and let me know you're watching on the replay. And also hit that like button. So yeah, I'm wearing the Zebra Playco t-shirt with the Zebra Playcos on it. I like this one. It's custom. And the hat and all that good jazz. Yeah, hope everybody's having a great day. And yeah, so on some good news, we did put an order, or I guess how do you call that? A bid for a house, rental property. So it's not like we're buying it or anything. What's going on, Dar? And like, it seems like we might be getting it. Looks pretty good. How you doing, Jonathan? I know I saw you call me, but I was doing some work. I missed it. What's going on, Pete? What's going on, Goji? How you doing, buddy? I know who you are now. So yeah, we might be getting the spot. It's not a confirmed yet, but seems like it, which is good. So I'm happy. Gonna pick up some tanks from the Dirty Platey. It's gonna give me some tanks, as well as my friend Playful Fever is gonna give me some tanks, to borrow some tanks from him actually. Set it up at the new spot, and then move the fish over, and then move the tanks over afterwards. So that's the plan at least, and so hopefully within the next few weeks we will be moved into the new spot, God willing. Yeah, call me after the live stream. You know, I'm gonna be doing some water changes for a bit, so you know. And how you doing, Sandy? Yeah, back to work in the morning. It's back and forth, work these days. So it's been like random times I have time off. I try to like live stream or do water changes or whatever it is that I need to get done. But in between that, I'm putting like 50-60 hours a week because this new place is costing quite a bit. It's not cheap, you know, and it's rent, so you know, like, and then you gotta pay like electrical and all of that stuff. And I also need to have money to buy all the things that we need. So all your memberships, everybody that's a member, that all helps out quite a bit. And you know, everybody that's super chatting, that all helps up also. Watching the videos, liking, commenting, subscribing, everything, you know what I mean? Everything you guys are doing. Well, I can't. I'm working in the morning, bud. If I wasn't, I would be able to. I gotta clean some tanks and go to bed, you know? I just don't have to go to work at like 4 in the morning tomorrow. It's like 8, 9 a.m. start, so it's not too bad. Thanks, Jonathan. Yeah, definitely. Respect. How you doing, ADHD? I'm fresh and toasty. Yeah, it was warm today. It was 16 degrees, Celsius. So, for everybody in the US, that's about 60 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like really warm for us here in Canada. And now it's back to like 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like 0 degrees Celsius. So it got cold again now. It's getting cold. Tonight it's gonna snow tonight. Um, how you doing, George? Aqua balls in the house. Yes, we're getting black rams from Tails and Scales. How did you know they have black rams? I guess I told you that yesterday. But yeah, we're getting them today or tomorrow. And I was supposed to go there and pick them up. Not pick them up, but look at them today. Um, but I didn't end up doing that because I got, I got busy with work and other stuff, so I didn't have time to do that. Um, what's going on, Heather? What's the most rarest Corydorus? I think Corydorus loretiensis is probably the rarest. CW028s, I have those. I also have the loretiensis. I only have 2 or 3 of those. They're pretty rare. My yellow Corydora C0123s are pretty rare. Oh, these guys are super rare. The CW049s. I have them right here actually. I'll try to get you some rare footage of them. They're in the back. Hold on. Try to get you guys some footage of those guys. Hold on for a second. Let me get the camera up in there. I don't know if you can see it, but you see them back there? CW049s. So they're quite rare. And I'm trying to breed them. Probably at the new spot, that's going to be one of the focuses. Is going to be all these Corydoras are going to have their own tanks, 10, 15 gallon tanks. You know what I mean? Like every fish that I want to breed is going to have their own setup, more or less. There's not going to be, too much mixing and stuff. That's one of the main things I want to do. What's going on, Coralie? How you doing? Goji's in the backyard blazing. Nice. Give this video a thumbs up. It helps me out quite a bit. Ordering food at the restaurant. Nice. Thai restaurant. Nice. Making me hungry. I have Chinese food in the kitchen, so I'm gonna go eat that after this. 6 weeks in Thailand and couldn't get enough of that Thai food. Nice. Street food in Thailand is actually pretty good. I've been to Thailand. Thailand, Malaysia. Street food all over Asia is pretty damn good. Can't complain. So, shouldn't have had it on. Yeah. I'm booked for work like all this month, so pretty good. I'm busy, happy, moving, new spot, all settled in. Gonna be settled in a few weeks. I'll probably be sleeping there as soon as I have some of the fish moved in. I think, I don't know. Probably be sleeping here too for the rest of the month. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. We'll see how it goes, I'm excited. What's going on, Scaper? How you doing, buddy? Yes, sir. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Yes, 100%. Hope everybody has a great day tomorrow also. Tomorrow's Friday here in Canada. It's about to be Friday in like 50 minutes-ish, 49 minutes. And it's still... Oh, you guys want to see something super cool? I want to show you guys something super duper cool. Okay, I'll try to get my camera up in here without disturbing the fish. Okay? Okay, hold up. I'm trying to get you up in here. Okay. Alright, let's see. Let's see if you can get him on focus. Can you see that little guy? Okay, so that is a baby from this month. See, these are the parents. Okay, so baby panda Cory. There's a bunch of them in here. Um, oh, my dog just freaked him out. So that's a parent. That's a baby right underneath it. Can you see the difference in size? There's even smaller ones. They're like little worms, eh? They're like tiny little worms. So you see this out now. It's moving about. There it is. So that's a baby panda Cory. Here, let me try to get it. There we go. Oh, there's another one right there underneath the leaf. That one's a little older. There's a whole bunch in here. Um, so I bought 10 of these guys, and I didn't even think they were big enough to breed. You see the two babies? You guys can see them, right? Right there. Right there. It's the parents. And there's tiny little ones all over the tank, right? So essentially what I want to do, to everybody that's joining in, thank you for joining in. Hit the like button, it helps me out quite a bit. What I want to do is I want to set them up in their own tank at the new spot. I think that's a big plan. Another fish that I want to set up in their own tank is these guys. So I'll give you a little preview. See these Corridoras here? These are Corridoras duplicarius. There's babies in this tank also. Okay? And can't really see him right now because this guy here is a meanie, so he goes around trying to eat them, right? He probably does eat quite a bit of them. So what I want to do is set those guys up in their own tank as well at the new place, right? So it'll be a bunch of Corridoras tanks because they'll breed on their own. I don't have to worry about them too much as long as there's a lot of moss and like these types of structure, you know, like see how densely planted this is. Like it's bush, it's a bush, you know. So the eggs just survive in this bush. You know, I bet you if I go in there look for it, I'll find eggs. Every time I do a water change, they spawn. Both these species, quite easy actually. These guys are like rabbits. I'm not even joking. Like they spawn so easily, like these Corridoras. The only trick I found is the pH needs to be like 5.5, 6-ish for the duplicarius. In my experience at least, and same with the panda Cories, the tank that they're breeding in, the pH is usually about 5 to 6. So that's something I found was useful for them to breed. And they just breed in the tank, and so I think that's what I'm going to do with a lot of the nicer Corridora species that I have. Set them up in their own setups by themselves with a bunch of moss and set them up and feed them and do minimal maintenance, top-ups, maintain the pH, you know, between 5 and 6-ish, and use RO to top up and let it like go for a while and do like large water changes with RO, kind of like mimicking rain and stuff like that. You know, like basic strategies that a lot of the Corridoras breeders, the successful ones at least, have used to get spawns and attempt a lot of that. You know, in my new facility, I think that's one of the things I want to do. Goji says, I've never kept Corridoras. I have Mr. Aqua 12 gallon along with just ABA, La Plata, and a few Panda Cories. Nice, Panda Cories are nice. I love these guys. I've never kept Panda Cories before this. And I was at the pet store the other day and I was like looking at Panda Cories and I'm like, I want some, you know? I like them. What's going on, Sandy? How you doing? Nice. Okay, so I spilled the beans yesterday, so I might as well talk about it. And Heather, you're on the super chat. You're on the super secret chat group, so I know you've probably seen this, and I guess you missed it there too. we're looking at getting a new place, rent a larger place to move the tanks and have like a breeding facility and whatnot. So they'll be like, it's mostly for breeding some fish as well as for YouTube and like everything else, and it's close to my work, whatever. So my share of the rent is gonna be about $500 more than what I'm paying here. A little bit over $500, I would say. And then I have to pay expenses like utilities and whatever, which is fine. So I think my facility can cover that. So in total, the expense for the fish is gonna be about $1,000 in rent, and everything else on top of that. So whatever I make from the fish can cover that, I think. Figured it's time, you know what I mean? That way I can use all my tanks and stuff. What's going on, Pleco Fever? So it's a plan. It was not really like set in stone, but now it's happening more or less. Things are moving faster than I anticipated also, but also it's within the timeline of where we wanted it to be. So that's what's happening. And what's going on, Alicia and Pleco Fever? How y'all doing? Pleco Fever actually came with me to go check out the spot that we liked. It's the first one we actually went and looked at. We liked it, put an offer. Looks like we're getting it. We'll know tomorrow or the day after. We'll have the keys and we'll know. And yeah, so pretty exciting. What's going on, ABQ? Thank you, Heather. That's okay. Yes, I know. I just saw that today. So I wanted to make a video. Actually, I actually did make the video about the food, Pleco Ceramics food. I'm really impressed with their food. I'm getting a lot of success with it. I'm breeding a lot of super reds, and I started feeding their food, and my fish started going gangbusters. The babies are all surviving, which is like a pretty big plus. So I know there's no promotional code like before right now, but I think it's a good idea to support them and buy the food, and it's also good food. So definitely supporting the Pleco tablets, and also the Pleco paste, which seems to be good for hypersensitivity. I got my friend to make a video about how he makes them and stuff, so I'll put that up soon, and it'll be nice and fun. Yes, totally support their endeavors, Right? Thank you, live feeding. I know, I love that pellets. Yes, you see the super reds. Goji just got some. The quality is nice. Their colors are nice. I'm really happy with the results of the Pleco Ceramics food. So it's not a paid advertisement or anything like that. It's just it's user results. It works. Very nice, Sandy. I'm excited. Pete, yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the things we're gonna do at the new facility. The person I'm partnering up with is quite web savvy, and they've given me quite a bit of pointers with my own domain names and basic stuff like that, which I'm not hugely on top of. So they already have a lot of that set up, and I think that's going to be one of the things we're going to be doing. But mainly going to be focusing on the Canadian market right now. Not saying that we're discrediting the American market. Americans constitute about 30 to 40% of my views and my subscribers. So I love you guys. A lot of times people assume that I'm American because of the way I talk and my beliefs and my ideologies. Even though I believe I'm liberal, like a lot more liberal than I think people think I am. Uh, but you know, so like I definitely want to produce fish for the American market. I'm not gonna discredit you guys or put you on the back burner. I have a lot of friends in America also, and people that are subscribed and you know, and channel members and all that good jazz. So definitely gonna be producing fish for you guys. But our main focus, for the most part, is gonna be aside from that is gonna be producing fish for the Canadian market, mostly for our local pet stores who are actively buying fish from us and who are supporting our business. And to them, it's a good thing because they're getting healthy fish that are born and raised in our own water here in Canada, that are not going to go into shock and die when they put them into our tanks here. So they're happy with that. Fish are going to come to them healthy, you know, less transportation time, no ammonia burns, no parasites and diseases because they're bred here in a controlled environment where biosecurity is very important to us. You know, things like that. So a lot of the pet stores are quite happy with that. So I think our main focus is going to be, at least for our bread and butter to pay the bills, is going to be to produce those fish that are for the Canadian market, angelfish, you know, German rams, black rams, you know, discus, you know, things like that sort. Some plecos, obviously, you know, and live bearers and shrimp, um, dwarf cichlids, you know, things like that sort. Whatever is, you know, corridoras, whatever has value and demand at the pet stores. And it's not going to be fish that are super expensive. You know what I mean? It's going to be small fish that are selling in large quantities, and also in throughout the whole year, and also through the summertime. One of my plans, personally, I think, is to grow and breed and grow goldfish, like fancy goldfish. So we grow them through the summer, and they only sell from September till January or February. They don't sell anytime after March. They stop selling. So the stores don't buy them after March. So our plan, one of the plans, is to grow goldfish outdoors through the summer, and then sell them September, October, November from the outdoor tubs directly to market. So that's a plan. It might, you know, it might take a year or two to actually put together, but that's something I want to do. But yeah, these are different plans that we have, you know. Mm, um, so yes, ABQ wants to know how to move corridors. It's quite easy. You gotta wash your hands. I wash my hands like 100 times a day. It's important to have clean hands. Excuse me, I dropped my wipe. Let me take it here. Yeah. So you gotta have clean hands. Wash your hands, and you gotta roll the egg. So you know. So let's say I don't have anything that looks like an egg. Okay, let's say that's the egg right there. Right, you might take the tip of my finger. You put your finger on top of the egg, and you gently roll it on the glass onto your finger. Okay, so you gotta. It takes a few tries, but if you kind of like start from the bottom. So if this is the egg, you put your finger below the egg onto the glass and start rolling up slowly without putting pressure onto the egg. Um, it rolls onto your finger. Once it is on your finger, you can take it and then stick it on a shot glass or a cup of water from the tank or whatever it is. I would recommend like using clean RO water if possible with a little bit of tank water, unless you have really clean tank environment. Um, you know, if that's the case, then good. If not, you can also use a breeder box like one of these. You know, stick it inside and turn off the water from coming in, and just put an air stone. That's the best way to go. Um, People do use razor blades, but it's up to each individual person. I'm gonna make the goji and add a moderator. Uh, yeah, I feed the super reds. What I feed are mainly Pleco ceramics, Pleco tablets from Pleco ceramics. Um, Definitely, I think that constitutes about 40-50% of their diet. Also, I feed spirulina tablets from the health food store at least once a week, so about 10-15% of the diet is spirulina. Then I feed Sarah discus, Sarah Pleco wafers with wood in it. Also, I feed um, the one from Angel Fins, the Angel Fins Pleco chips, which are with wood, which with 4% hardwood. So that one also I feed both of those, about 10-20% of their diet, not 20 but 10-15%. And then I also feed Ebo sponge and Dr. Basileir for protein for my breeding females and stuff. So those are the few things that I feed. I try to give a balanced diet. What I would recommend is if you're not feeding all these stuff, it's fine. Um, Anything with some type of algae, the spirulina is important. The wood is important. Um, I would say some type of leaves because I also use that, like oak leaves, like this stuff here. Whole bag, you know. Yeah, I love that stuff. So that and like some type of protein foods, you know what I mean? Like, but not too much. But yeah, it's just a mixture, and you can use like things like green beans, zucchini, broccoli. You know, like, but again, within discretion, I wouldn't say leave that stuff in the tank. For novice fish keepers, I would say not to use any of that stuff because it can follow your water pretty fast. You might not know what's happening. And all of a sudden you have a crash, your fish start dying, and you're like, what's happening? It's because you put something out of your fridge into your tank. So that's why I don't recommend using vegetables and stuff. I personally don't like using it. But yeah, a variety of food. Um, Old school live, bro, not the new type. Yeah, no, I mean, here's the thing. I think live and let live, but at the same time, I have a lot of conservative values too. I also, I'm a centrist. I'm in the middle. You know, I can't say I'm on either side because each side has valuable points, and then at the same time, each side has extremes, which I don't like to be at, and also you know, on each individual topic, I might be on different sides of the spectrum based on the fact that I'm an individual human being. I don't always align with one political party because I'm an individual. So you might present me with one type of argument and say, hey, what do you think about this type of argument? And I say, hey, that for that particular thing, this is my point of view. And then for something else, that's my point of view. Could be different, right? So I that's why I don't support any side. You know, it's all BS to me. And also, they're both two wings of the same bird. Uh, but yeah. Uh, Made in Canada. Awesome. Yes, sir. Uh, it's for Coberas. uh, what about honey gouramis? Can't seem to find those locally. Yes, they're very rare. The problem with a lot of these gourami species that come from Southeast Asia is that they're literally going extinct in their natural habitat. A lot of these dwarf gouramis, the sparkling gouramis, the wild betas, a lot of the labyrinth fish that live in small bodies of water in swampy areas in Southeast Asia are losing their habitats to developments and stuff because they basically bury these areas with new soil, these swamps, and then build on top of it, right? This is what we've been doing for thousands of years, and now we're encroaching on the last and remaining bits of these types of habitats. And so a lot of these animals are not going to be available or even alive long term because they're going extinct. It's the reality of things. It's sad to be the one to bring this news to you, but it is what's actually happening. But uh, and they're not commercially valuable enough for people to for farms to produce them in large scale because they're, you know what I mean, like they don't sell for more than a couple of bucks, $5 to $10 at the best, and they're small fish, so they produce small clutches. They require a lot of work, a lot of low pH, a lot of knowledge. For a person that knows how to manipulate water to that extent, it is not feasible for them to consider breeding those animals in their facility when they know that they can breed things, something like zebra plecos or discus or something that is far more valuable and desirable in the aquarium trade, and you can generate a lot more revenue from. And then for the large scale farms in Southeast Asia, just because they don't produce a lot of babies, it's not commercially valuable to produce these animals. That's why you don't see chili ras boras, any of the small, really small types of fish in large quantities, you know. An exception is your pearl danios or your STPD, celestial pearl danios. So those guys, they do produce daily, small clutches. So like they are quite expensive in the hobby. You can find them for like $8-9 here in Canada at pet stores. Even at on Kijiji they sell for like $7 and stuff, which is the local fish trading website. And It's kind of like the underground market, I guess. Um, and So they do have some value and they grow quite fast, so they breed those. But like things like neon tetras, they are produced large scale in commercial, but green neon tetras are not because it's just not valuable enough to produce them. You can find them for dirt cheap from South America right now. And at some point, if they do go extinct, maybe people start producing these guys, but I doubt it. Like if their swamp goes, if people built on top of the swamp that the neon tetras, the green neon tetras come from, and they go extinct in the wild, I don't see that species being commercially produced in captivity. I mean, there might be a few people that keep them on as uh, cares animals or insurance colonies or whatever, um, but it wouldn't be something that's commercially produced just because they require such extreme conditions to get spawns. You know? Yeah, yeah. Honestly, like I mean, they're gorgeous. Thank you, SFT. Hope you have a great day. Yes, you have the power. Hiking to a river trail the other day to get inspired to a new nano tank. Very nice, live feeding. That's the best. We're trying to recreate and simulate nature, right? So I think that's the best thing, and I think a lot of the tanks at the new facility are going to be natural looking. Um, I mean, even in here right now, there's a lot of plants and stuff like that, but the new facility, I think that's one of the main goals that I have, is to have a lot of the tanks a lot more natural looking, like real naturescapes that are functioning and breeding to show that this is what is possible with the aquariums, like and for me as a child, I remember one of my biggest inspirations, aside from my parents, is my doctor. Um, I know I talked about this in the past also. I'm pretty sure some people that haven't heard this, I'll let you guys in on a secret. When I was young, I was a sickly child. I had a lot of diseases, or I would get sick quite easily. Small and sickly, and for the first 2, 3, 4 years of my life. Um, but once I started going out and playing in the mud and eating the dirt, things got better. I wasn't as sickly, but I think my mom coddled me quite a bit because I was her first child, and as a result, I wasn't exposed to a lot of outdoor elements, and when every time I did, I got sick. So I had to go to the doctor quite a bit, you know what I mean? And my doctor, my pediatrist or whatever you call that, my baby doctor or whatever, this person was a lady, and her doctor's office was in this sunroom in her house. You know, it's this giant glass room open to the elements, but it was glass, so it was like all covered up. But sun would come in, and she had about 30 aquariums along the entire parameter of the outdoor parameter, except where the door was to go outside into the courtyard. So all these aquariums were planted, and and every aquarium had one species of animal, fish, and it was mostly small fish. But I distinctly remember seeing a pair of angelfish which looked like some type of wild angels. They were quite large, and I fell in love with her office. I think I got sick just to go there. But yeah, and and back then, this was like early 80s, like 81, 82. There was not a lot of equipment. A lot of the stuff that we have now didn't exist. There was no filters. Mechanical filters were like not a thing yet. They did have undergravel filters, but that was like, again, to run those you had to have air pumps. She did have some air in some of the tanks, but a lot of the tanks had nothing except for the plants and the fish and the sunlight. And it was quite natural. And I remember everything, it's looking at it like 3, 4 years old, looking into these tanks and seeing all these fish. And it was nature recreated in this house, in her tanks. And also another one of my mom's friends, actually, from her childhood, which one of her best friends. So we used to go visit her quite often because she lived like next to my mom's parents' house. And they also had about 100 aquariums in their houses, in their house. Most of them outside, throughout, like outdoor courtyards and stuff where sun would come in, so the tanks would get a lot of sunlight. There was a lot of plants, and individual tanks would have individual species of fish. Like it wasn't like anything extensive, and whatever. But like you'd see like one school of tetras of one kind in one tank. Another tank would have another school of tetras, or some type of barbs that were rare. In that time, it was like from another country, so they were like, oh my god, I got these from Malaysia. Like they were like, ooh, like they're like, ooh, whatever, right? And like, so you'd see all these cool animals, and in these individual enclosures, it was like a menagerie. So the same thing at my parents' house. When you come over, there was like 30, 40 tanks in the living room and throughout the hallways and outdoors, all by windows, with a lot of sunlight coming in, and each tank would have one species of animal mostly, and there would be a lot of plants, and like it was green, like there was no like algae growing on it because there's a lot of aquarium plants growing on it, but it was like an ecosystem. And my dad had money, so he had underground filters, so they were like like top of the line back then. Like it was like, wow, like everybody would be like, ooh, you have filters. And it was like a big deal, right? This was like the early 80s, so like like air pumps. Like I remember I got an air pump when I was like 5 or 6, and this thing was like literally like my most prized possession, or at least one of them. And I remember like having to like replace the the diaphragm in the air pump, and it was crazy because the diaphragm was like expensive. So my dad bought me the diaphragm, and I had to like figure out how to like take it apart and put this diaphragm in. There was no internet, there was no instruction manuals, nothing. You know what I mean? Like, so I took the air pump apart, figured out what was broken, which was the diaphragm. It was like a rubber diaphragm, so they break. This is how air pumps crash. And then put the new diaphragm in, and put all the screws and nuts and bolts, and seal it and put it back together, whatever. So I was like 6 or 7 years old, I think, when that happened, and so that was quite interesting, like. But yeah, like nature was a big part of keeping fish, and I think that's what I want to do, is to take it all back to nature. Michael says me too. Oh, you guys. Oh yeah, they're talking about Plecos. Okay, all right, all right. Y'all have your own conversations. Uh, Thank you, Colin. Malaysia, definitely, Alish. Malaysia is uh, definitely Malaysia, India, Thailand, anywhere in Southeast Asia. This is basically how people keep fish outside. And then it rains, you know, you collect rainwater into the tank directly. A lot of my tanks are outdoors, and when it rained, you know, it filled up the tanks. I didn't have to do a lot of maintenance. I mean, I still did water changes. I know, I remember doing them, but in the rainy season, you just take water out just so that there's space for the rainwater to collect onto, so that you didn't have to do much water changes. And the fish bred naturally in that, you know what I mean? So these are things I think, some of the things I want to try to do moving forward, not just with this facility, but also in future facilities, you know, from there onwards also, is to try to, you know, add more uh, nature into our tanks, and less dependence on mechanical devices, less dependence on all these equipment, and you know, like obviously I'm still gonna have filters and stuff like that in my tanks, but I think the goal is that if they were to fail, if there was a power outage, if there was some type of issue, as long as the tanks were warm enough and whatnot, for a couple of days, the fish would not suffer and die, and they would be fine until alternatives are made and the power is restored and things like that. Just because I think that's a you know, something in a world where things are not 100% certain, that's a good way to be. And we also want to get a generator. I think that's one of the first things I want to get moving on to 2022 winter, is to have a generator available, so if there is a power outage, we can plug the generator in, and there is power available to run the heaters, the house heaters, the air pumps, and whatnot. But still, I don't want my most of my breeding tanks to be dependent on the air solely, or the electricity or whatnot. You know, that's a big goal for me personally, even for the Playcore tanks, I believe. And it can be done. I've done it accidentally, you know. So I think I'm going to attempt um, making that a possibility. You know, moving forward. So heat mad with solar panels. Yeah, I mean, definitely, it's good to have all these things, but for me personally, I want it to be simplified. A lot of the water changes I think I'm gonna do. Nice, very nice. We got the German Rams. The okay. Uh, nice. But so that's one of the goals, and especially like if it's just a species only tank, like a pair of angelfish, for example, breeding. They're like, even right now, my breeding tanks don't have a lot of air and stuff going into them. You know, like I have very minimal oxygen and stuff going into this. A very little, like a trickle of air. You know, so uh, I think that's not too hard with the angelfish tanks. With the corridors tanks, I think that's not going to be too much of an issue either. Shrimp tanks also, I think that's not going to be too much of an issue. With the Playco tanks, you know, we definitely have to have a decent amount of flow and air movement or water movement, or just air going into it. So that I think I can't really do much with, but at least have some type of backup for that, for the air systems in there, you know, like the generator and stuff. I think that's the goal. Um, yeah, so US Caper has a really good question there. Um, I think so. What happens is a lot of places in the world where our fish come from have a wet season and a dry season. Okay, and during the wet season, there's a lot of rain happening, and this rain's in the pH of about 6.5, you know, whatever. And the rain falls, and the water is at about that pH because there's a lot of rain. But what happens is in the dry season, especially in places where there's marshy, swampy areas where there's a lot of leaf litter and a lot of humic material like acid building material, like dead leaves and dead plant matter and stuff like that. Um, that breaks down and adds acid and tannins, like you said, into the water. So in turn, the pH drops significantly because there's nothing to buffer the pH, right? If the water goes through rocky areas where it's washing the rock constantly and stuff, the rocks have some calcium, some other trace minerals, so increases the KH, increases the GH of the water, and it makes it more stable. But in marshy areas where the water is stagnant and there's a lot of humic material like or leaf litter or dead leaves and dead plant matter and stuff like that already accumulated like marsh and swamps, then what happens is there's not really anything to buffer the water. So in the dry season, the pH drops quite significantly, and that's when a lot of these animals breed, or right after when the dry season ends and the water starts becoming better, when the rain falls and the pH comes up to like about 6, is when they would all spawn. And this is the case with a lot of Corydoras and stuff. So that's why it's wise to keep them in a dry period season where 3-4 weeks or a month and a half, 2 months, where you don't do any water changes, you let the water evaporate and you let the pH drop. But that doesn't work with every species, as I've learned through bad experiences. Some species of Corydoras cannot handle pHs of like 4, whereas some species can. Like the CW028s, they're fine at 4 pH. They probably would spawn at 4 pH, 4.5 pH, no problem. Whereas I have these bronze Corydoras or peppered Corydoras, I forgot their Pelliatus, Corydoras Pelliatus. Those guys at 5.5 pH they're fine. At 4.5 pH they start melting. So that's something to keep in mind also. So there's each species of animals has evolved in different parts of these river systems. Some in parts where there is a constant amount of flow through rocks and stuff, where there is calcium being deposited into the water, where some have evolved in areas where there's no calcium carbonate or hard calcium hardness or carbonate hardness to increase the the KH, and the water is extremely acidic at some parts of the year, and then they're fine. You know what I mean? And so it all depends on what's happening in the particular rivers. But to come back to the original question, why it happens is because in the dry periods there is not a lot of rain or anything like that, and the water becomes stagnant and the acids build up, just like in our tanks. Some people might call it old tank syndrome, and that's essentially what it is. What's going on, Cassiology and ABC Aquatics Biotope? How y'all doing? Okay, so it is getting late. I do have to do water changes, and I also have to work in the morning. I gotta take this dog out. She's sitting here being all sulky and stuff. Yeah, that's what it is. And it doesn't help that the fact that the water is also evaporating, which makes it more concentrated. The acid becomes more and more concentrated over time as the water evaporates, and more of the dead leaf matter breaks down over time and becomes more acidic, more and more and more acidic. If you've seen a swamp or a marsh, the water is extremely brown colored usually. There's still fish living in it, but those fish have adapted to living in those low pH water. And it's just like fish that live in fresh water compared to marine water or in the ocean. So saltwater fish, where fish originally evolved in, at least as far as we can think about, or where fish first appeared, is they've adapted to living in fresh water over time, and then all the freshwater fish have adapted to living in freshwater and cannot go and live in saltwater right away now. But they can't, they will die. The same thing applies to fish that live in extremely acidic conditions. They have adapted to living in those extremely acidic conditions, and they cannot live in more basic conditions where the water has a decent amount of KH and the pH is above certain value. So that's what we got to keep in mind, is that all these animals come from different places and they all have various requirements and whatnot, you know. uh, I'm going to text you how to get my butt in gear here. Have a good night. Oh, good night, Heather. I'm gonna sign off soon anyways. And yes, don't forget to hit the like button. Yes, show some love. And if you're watching this on the replay, comment and let me know you're a part of the replay crew. Jonathan's building a bunny cage. Lucky you. Good night, everyone. And I'm going to sign off unless you guys have any last minute questions. And I will do my live stream tomorrow at 7. I should be home by then. And hopefully, I will see you all then. And if not, on Sunday. And I will keep you updated on what's going on. So far, nothing is confirmed yet. We're still waiting to get the confirmation, but I'm pretty confident by the fact that we have filled out the paperwork and stuff. Usually, when that happens, it's usually when things are moving and things are happening. And so, pretty excited. And thank you so much for being with me through this entire process. And hopefully, we can make this into much more. 20,000 subscribers are almost there, and we can get to like 30, 40, 50,000. Like my goal is to at least hit 50,000 this year, but I really want to hit 100,000 by the end of the year. And you know, I think having more content is going to make a difference. The new place is going to create a lot of those opportunities. We'll have our own studio and stuff. You guys can help by sharing this content, these videos, and my channel and stuff with other people that are in the community, that are like-minded and that are fish keepers and whatnot. And let's get there. Thank you so much. I love you all. God bless you. Dog wants to go for a walk now. Yes, she's already barking. She's ready. I gotta put a band-aid on her foot. You know, band-aid it up. She's cut up because she ran on the asphalt the other day and she got excited and she cut up her foot. So I had to, you know, do all that, put a shoe on it, and get her all dressed up, put her jacket on because it's cold, otherwise she wouldn't go outside, and take her for a walk. And then come back in and clean tanks and get ready for work in the morning. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon, okay? God bless you. I love you all.